Hi there, my name is David Taylor and I'm a specialist communications consultant working with IAB. This is the latest in a series of videos that we are shooting for IAB members where we talk about some of the issues pertaining to bookkeeping, accountancy and really running a practice in today's somewhat crazy world. Over the last few months, we've had a number of our member benefits come in on video to talk about what they do and how they can offer something which is going to help you in your particular practice. We've also been talking about the Practice Growth Framework, which is trying to help you understand wherever you are in your life and within your practice and how we, as the IAB, can help you as the member to change whatever you do within your life, your business, so that you can have a better quality of life or you can actually meet the business objectives that you've set for yourselves. So I'm really delighted today. The latest member benefit that we have got is the wonderful Kim Searle.
Hello, thank you.
Kim, lovely to see you. I know you're a really old friend of IAB. You've been working with IAB for a number of years now, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes. Probably about 3 now.
All right, fantastic. And I know that you've been on a number of the coffee mornings. And you've also, you've been at Accountex recently, haven't you?
I was very fortunate to be at Accountex and I had a good turnout for the talk that I did, which was Unshakable Confidence, the 4 keys to helping, I can't remember the exact title, to do with sales, relationships, which is a big part of what we do, and just general success. So.
Oh, fantastic. You, I know, have worked extensively with bookkeepers and accountants,
yes.
And this is your real field of expertise. Would you like to tell the viewers, in a nutshell, what it is you do with your clients, but also, given where we are in this crazy world we're in, how that you actually help those clients?
Yes, of course, thank you. So it's interesting because everybody who comes to see me on a one-to-one basis, they're coming for something different. And yet it's all the same. There is something within their mindset that is getting in the way. And the trouble with mindset is it's your behaviours, it's your thoughts, it's your emotions, it's what's important to you, and beliefs, which you'll hear a lot of people talking about. And we don't always know it's there. And so it's only when we start to delve into it that we get the detail of what's going wrong. So I can have, 10 people come to me for perfectionism or procrastination.
Right.
And the root cause will be different.
Right.
And that's why it's prevalent right now, particularly, as you quite rightly say, when there's so much change happening. People can barely keep pace with what is going on. And I think that's the challenge that many are facing. Things are happening too fast and they're not feeling like they're able to keep up, but they're trying to do their best. And that's the key. They're doing their best.
I like that. I think it's, we were talking before we went on to camera and we were saying that I know that IAB, we're trying to guide our members down this road to a somewhat different world than the world that many people might know.
Yes.
And some of those steps can be seen to be very large. And it's like sort of, taking a sharp intake of breath and gulping. It's like, you mean I've got to become a business advisor or I've got to start doing different things with my clients? And it's like, that's too big a step. And I guess that's what you're finding when you're talking to some of the clients that you speak to.
I do. And I think there's a fear about anything that's new or different. So when people come to me, there's a fear about what they might reveal. Makes no difference for me. There's no judgment. There's no, just no judgment, I think, with what they're bringing up. Because the chances are I've heard it before. But it will be theirs. And I think that's the difference. And what I want to do is take them on a journey. Yeah. And I do have a couple of programs, the one-to-ones or the group coaching type things, which is a journey. So I support them on that 12 weeks or 12 months if that's the way they want to take it. And I think we all need support. We all need
Absolutely.
somebody to be there when things aren't going well, or when, something's cropped up and it's like, gosh, what do I do here? So if it's appropriate, I had a client who wanted to raise his prices after COVID, but was afraid to do so.
Right.
And particularly with some
Right.
clients who were quite shouty. I think they thought they were, the clients thought they were, probably bigger than they were, or they like an argument. We have no idea what's going on. But he was quite a quiet person and didn't really want to be conflicted with that. So we had to talk it through. And so we had a
Really?
separate session. Okay, so what's the problem? What are we going to do? How can we do this?
Yeah.
So he could tie it in to his values and his visions, I think, so that he could do it in his way, and to be able to cope with the unexpected counter arguments. Because one of the other challenges I see a lot within the community is not knowing the answer. That's a tough one. You do know answers, it just might not be, let me just say that again, it just might not be the answer that the client wants. But sometimes having to refer or check out, that some details is actually acting in your client's best interests.
Interesting. One thing I picked up something which was interesting earlier, which you were talking about vision and values with clients. Could you outline a little bit more about that? Because I guess that's the very root of who you are. So you're running a bookkeeping practice, you're a successful accountant, but who are you? What is your own vision for where you want to go, and what are your values? And I guess that ties into that early example you're talking about, someone didn't want to raise their prices because I guess that they weren't quite sure what their values were, or in fact their own value.
Exactly that. They didn't understand their own value.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see, because people see this paper output, this electronic report that they're producing, but not the value behind it. And I'm a big fan on correcting that when I see it. But everything starts with us. That's one of my key principles. I work with several of them. It all starts with us, or you, as I would say to them. The point being that unless you know what's important to you, not the business, you, unless you know what you want from life, your vision, and that vision doesn't have to be years ahead. It could be 90 days.
Yes.
It could be, 6 months. For some people who are struggling, going any further out is just not possible. Fine, start where you need to. But the vision is something that you want to achieve. It's not a goal, but it's an overall state, if you like. The values are what's important to you. And if those two are aligned, life just becomes easier.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about loving what we did.
Yes.
And that shines through. You don't have to do anything, because it is that flow that you've been talking about. We're moving in flow. We are. I'm not a big fan of the word because it's probably being used out of context, but authentic. You are coming from a deeper part of you, and people pick up on that. They don't understand it. They don't know, but they warm to you automatically because you're doing something you love. That's coming through. You don't have to be dancing on the tables or whatever it is passion looks like, but they know.
Yeah.
Quietly, you're just filtering through your vision and values through everything you do because you love it. And that will do any amount of selling that you want.
Wise, very wise words, but very, very truly spoken. One of the things we've introduced, as I mentioned earlier, is this practice growth framework, where we've got these different segments. So we're starting out at a pre-start, becoming a sole trader, the difficult move from sole trader through to small business, and then growing business where you can supposedly kick back and let other people do the work for you. I just wanted to touch on one area which I know is the most problematic, which is this journey from being a sole trader to becoming a small business. Right. And I know from talking to a number of IAB members who've made that journey successfully, how hard it is, and how some of them had imposter syndrome. So often you have someone running a really successful bookkeeping practice, but maybe they've been a bookkeeper for like 25 years, but they've only been in practice and running their own business for 3, because for whatever reason they think, well, I can't do this. So, but it is it's a change in mindset, isn't it?
It is. From the very get-go, we're born. There's a programming that goes on for us. It's first of all, it's our parents and siblings or family, and then it's school, and then it's society and college, university, whatever you did, and then studying. Had an interesting conversation with somebody who talked about studying for being an accountant, and how you come in with all these different types of people, and there's lots of diversity, and then they sort of almost churn out these accountants
Right.
in a certain framework,
Right.
and then they almost have to reclaim their identity.
Oh, right, interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I do. Yes, they've almost made them automatons, but then you put them out in the world and they have to become humans again.
Exactly.
Right.
And I didn't want to use the word mostly because I couldn't get my teeth around it. But I think the interesting thing there is that we are being programmed all the time. And if we could just understand that programming isn't who we are, because underneath it, there's us, there's the you inside that you are, which comes back to the values and visions. But if we understand the imposter syndrome, which is just a term a psychologist or whatever coined in the 90s, is self-doubt. And self-doubt comes from not believing in yourself, not trusting yourself, not loving what you do. And for whatever reason, that's undermining everything you do, from the way you talk, the way you show up, in so many different ways. And you're not always going to know it. So it's not just about what's up here. Mindset's everything.
Yeah.
So I think I can understand why that would be a challenge, to move from a framework or programming that says this is what you are, to move to a new programming where you've got no idea.
Yep.
You talked earlier about before we started about feeling certain. You're in new territory and you've got to learn
Yes.
on the job.
Yes, absolutely.
But to anybody out there thinking about it, you can do it. All you need is support, and you find the support that works for you. IAB, a coach, somebody like myself who does a broader spectrum. It could be somebody who's walked the path with you. We need help. We're humans, and we are all about connection. It's not in isolation. And somehow in that programming, we've become little islands.
Absolutely, and I think technology has only exacerbated all of this.
Yeah.
And over the last few years, would you say some of the clients you've come to see you, has technology been almost a barrier to some of the issues they've had? And clearly you can't talk about the personal issues, but in my experience, I know from having worked with lots and lots of businesses, the tech, whilst it's seen as this wonderful magic wand to solve all the problems, it's become a real barrier for some people, and it's almost become something like it's unsurmountable. All this tech, I can't deal with it, therefore I'm out, and again that comes into the self-belief. It's like, oh well, I can't learn, and I'm not able to change, etc. In your experience, have you found that a lot with some of the clients you've been working with?
I'm seeing it, even just talking to people,
Right.
You can hear it, that there's so much going on. And in fact, one of the things that I like them to understand is, you don't need it all. Technology people are obviously wanting you to buy their product. And of course, the trouble with that is that they are throwing all sorts at you. And I was on the stand with some colleagues that were selling some new tech. People didn't understand the difference. If they don't understand, they will walk on by because they haven't got the time. Time is a big thing.
Yep.
It's the time that's the problem, I think.
Yep.
If people had the time to have it explained to them for them, rather than being this one size fits all, which is sometimes a bit problematic, then that might help. But the thing is with tech is that we don't need a great deal. We just need a really good system, and we don't need all the extra others that everybody's selling to us. We just need to choose one, get that really working, and then move forward. But again, they need support. People bringing this tech in. I used to work in a tech industry, and we would be installing software. I was doing contact centres, so it was a little bit bigger, but we'd install this contact centre, but we had to train people how to use it.
Of
you
course.
can't just say, here it is, we've delivered it.
Absolutely.
Got to know how to use it.
Yep.
And I think sometimes the tech companies, software companies, are not doing a great service.
I've heard it often said that tech companies are great at creating products, but they can't sell them at all. But it's more than selling them. It's about explaining how people can use it. And I know from having the coffee mornings and the ambassador groups at IAB, it's about trying to get contemporaries helping each other. And I think your advice is very well made, is that you have a good system, make sure that system works, and that system might be technological based and increasingly with Xero, etc. And the dashboards that you have, those systems can be very sophisticated. Get that right. You may not need the bells and whistles, but I think another thing that you spoke about earlier, which is almost making baby steps. So I think rather than saying, I need to make complete change and I need to have all this technology, it's about making little incremental changes. And that's certainly something that you were talking to me about.
It's this whole FOMO, isn't it? Fear of missing out.
Yes.
And they're concerned about, people may be concerned about being left behind. No, they won't. You'll get in what you need. But it's not your fault if it's not working the way you need it to, or you're not using it. It's not you.
Yep.
It's never you.
Yep.
It's about, it's never you as in, being at fault. It's about understanding what the problem is. And that is something you can do. What is it that's making you think, I just can't deal with that? And I know for me, I'm not great on tech in the afternoon. If I've got a problem and it's not working, in the morning is when I work. So you have to
biorhythm, isn't it?
It's a biorhythm.
Yeah.
I'm just firing on more cylinders then. The logical brain's clearly firing then. But the thing is to think about what works for you and what is getting in the way. And, for me, it's understanding how you're ticking.
Yeah.
And I think most of the companies would support more help if you needed it. But they're just not giving it because nobody's really asking for it.
No, I think it's very wise words there. And I think another thing just to pick up on, I guess, is if we are talking about incremental steps and we're talking about having a vision and understanding about making incremental changes, etc. What simple tips would you give for one of our members who's listening today, who knows that they need to make some changes? Clearly, it'd be lovely if they reached out to you or they talked with fellow colleagues. But if there were some simple changes that someone could make, what simple tips do you think our members could make within their own practice, around their own mindset, which would make a difference?
I think loud and clear is know thyself.
Yeah.
I talked about vision and values earlier. They're not just, business words. They are the things that will drive you forward when things get tough. People often talk about not being motivated or, procrastinating. Well, it's because you don't have anything to work towards. This doesn't feel like it's aligned to something. That's an effort to overcome. If you know that it's important to you to do certain things, you'll do them. Because it's an inner drive.
Yeah.
So make sure you understand your personal vision and values. And, there's lots of ways to do that. ChatGPT, you can talk to them and get something out of that. Put in some of your words and come up with a framework that's really important. Because what that will enable you to do is to start to notice when you're off from what's important to you. Because invariably all the things that I see people struggle with is because they're doing things that aren't important to them.
Right.
So time being a big one.
Yeah.
What are you spending your time on? If it's not on things that are important to you, a big question mark.
Yeah.
So for me, self-reflection is a must.
Yeah.
Whether you do that as part of a strategy session you do every week, or whether you do that, every day or every month, what went well for you by you. What went well for you in terms of how you felt and your thought. What's your thinking patterns? I don't know about you, but I can have several layers going. So have a think about your thinking patterns, because they are your guide. They will be messages from the body. And lastly, is that okay? The 3?
No.
So vision and values, self-reflection. The last one is when you've done that and you found something that's not aligned with what you want, then you make small changes. The small habits. Make your vision and values and your self-reflection a habit, just small steps that allows you to keep moving in the right direction.
Yep.
I didn't realise this until recently, but aeroplanes don't fly in straight lines. Who knew?
Well,
they are constantly course correcting because of the weather or whatever. So that was a real news to me.
It's a lovely analogy, because when you're running your business, you don't go linear. You might move all over the place, depending on what comes up in front of you.
And you are your business.
Yes.
So it's a representation of you. So if you can course correct by knowing your vision and values, the destination, and you know that you're doing your self-reflection, oh, hold on, we're off course here, back on. Those small habit changes will grow over time to become something much bigger. And you won't see anything to start with, but over time you'll start to see a real shift. So for those who are feeling out of their comfort zone because they're making those transitions, it's normal and it's okay.
It goes back to the old the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? It's like one mouthful at a time. You don't try and eat the whole elephant in one go. And then what you're talking about is, very, very small steps, or very small mouthful. It's such wise advice. It comes back to you are a human being. It's only you. Check in with yourself. Who are you and what are you doing?
Yes.
And then, are you doing that? Because if you're not, why are you not doing that? And then if you do make the changes, make the small changes, and then check back in with yourself to see whether those changes are making any difference or not, or whether you're making those changes. And then it's keeping everything simple. But as you say, we are humans, and it's about understanding ourselves and where we're going.
Yeah, and I think the real beauty of it, if I may just add this in, is the whole certainty-uncertainty situation, because coming back to earlier on when we were talking about tech, there's just so much going on. Sometimes it's just easier not to do anything. But if you can have certainty in you, you're really rooted in where you're going and what you're doing and what's important to you, what really then begins to happen is you can't affect anybody else.
Yep.
You can only ever affect yourself.
Absolutely.
And there lies your certainty.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what life throws at you. Your certainty is, how does that fit in with me?
Ah, very clever.
And what can I do to work with that? So it doesn't matter whether it's a difficult conversation or, tech's got something, or the Inland Revenue have introduced something new. You start with that centred and you're off.
Very, very well. So if you're in an uncertain world, the one thing you can be certain of is yourself. So know thyself and be certain about yourself, and then everything will fit. I really like that.
Oh, please,
Kim,
thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And of course, if you go onto the member area of the website, you can see about exactly what Kim does. And obviously, Kim is also a great contributor to us. And I think you've done a blog for us recently.
Yes, I have,
So she's very much a friend of IAB. So do check out what she does. Do check out her website. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me today.
For coming on the video today. And I look forward to seeing you in next month's video.
Thank you.